Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. This first story comes from London and the second one comes from Manchester in Oldham. Before we start, I'd like to let everybody know that Black the Ripper has got a new song, unreleased music video dropping on his birthday on the 28th of December on the Dank of England YouTube channel. This was filmed in Hollywood and has never been heard before, so make sure you follow them on social media and I'll keep you updated with anything to do with that song and more music that could be released.
For and then her brains out.
Dank of England, baby.
Smoking all this kush up, baby, that's my meds. Free the bro, he just got nicked for selling pebs.
The first story is about a seizure on the M25 on the 1st of October. A man has been jailed after 30 kilos of cocaine were found in the boot of his car. The police estimated it at £3 million worth. Sam Migliorini from Barking was sentenced to 8 years and 3 months on Wednesday at Snaresbrook Crown Court and pleaded guilty on the same date to possession of Class A drugs with intent to supply and possession of criminal property. Officers from the Specialist Crime Command said they stopped a grey smart car between junction 25 and 24 on the M25. I didn't even know a smart car could go on the motorway, but it turns out they can go up to 80 miles an hour with wind conditions being good. Sam was driving the vehicle. He was detained and taken to a car park nearby off the A10 in Enfield. Officers searched the car and found a large holdall in the boot that contained 31 kilogram blocks of cocaine. The blocks were labelled C.E.N.G, which stood for a cartel from Ecuador. Sam was arrested on suspicion of Class A drugs with intent to supply and taken to an East London police station. The smart car was taken to a secure location where it was searched thoroughly, and officers said they found a sophisticated hide inside the vehicle. This ran the length and breadth of the car underneath from the front passenger to the driver's seat, and it was operated with a magnet that was placed on the console at the front near the gear stick. This lifted up the passenger seat to reveal the hideout, which was empty at the time of the seizure. Police said these were very common in the vehicles that were used by organised crime gangs in a bid to avoid detection by the police. They also found an encrypted mobile phone, potentially an encro, inside the vehicle, and they said these are also very common amongst criminals in gangs. Police said as part of the inquiry they operated a search warrant at Sam's home in the Barking area and he was arrested. They found a Mercedes car key and what they believe was a safe key in his possession. Officers arrived at his address and saw a grey Mercedes leave, and the vehicle was found shortly after, unattended on Shore Avenue near the address. The keys Sam had on him opened the vehicle and detectives searched the car and found that he was insured on it and the safe was in the boot. The other key opened the safe and officers found £15,000 inside it. Sam was arrested for possession of criminal property, which would be the unexplained money. He answered no comment to all questions in police interview and was subsequently charged on the 2nd of October. Detective Sergeant Gemma Brown said this was a significant seizure of Class A drugs and a great example of how officers are working tirelessly to disrupt the supply of drugs. The people who are involved in the supply have little regard for the chaos they create, and this seizure helps to stop drugs in the streets of London. So I thought that's a really interesting story coming from London, and very similar to this other story as well in relation to big seizures and organised crime. 5 men from Oldham have been jailed for a total of 25 years for their roles in a drug conspiracy in an operation by Greater Manchester Police. The verdicts on Operation Angela, a 2-year operation that was led by the police, and they discovered 24 grand of Class A drugs, namely cocaine, crack, ecstasy and heroin, and 11.5 grand in cash. All 7 conspirators were jailed at Manchester Crown Court on Wednesday, December the 23rd. Previously pleaded guilty to drug offences. That's a very small seizure for a 2-year investigation. As you can see from that one on the motorway, they found 30 kilos just by chance, allegedly, but this is a 2-year operation and has only recovered £11,000 cash. Dorian Bowell was sentenced to 9 years, Noel Totter was sentenced to 4 years, Connor Harvey was sentenced to 5 years, Bailey Armstrong was sentenced to 2 years, and Ballon Harvey pleaded guilty also to driving offences. Brandon Cancier was sentenced to 3 years, and Zoe Garrett was sentenced to 2 years that was suspended for conspiracy to supply cocaine and heroin. The court heard over a period of 2 years from May 2018 to 2020 January. The group's criminal enterprise that was spearheaded by Bao had loyal and trusted workers, and they operated in the supply of Class A drugs. Bao used close associates Totter, Harvey, Armstrong and Garrett in a controlling manner in order to distribute and operate the line. He was arrested on 3 occasions, and Bao would continue to offend even when he was on bail for conspiracy. They began to unravel with Operation Angela at the start of 2020, and it was also described in court as some of the runners were not directly involved in the conspiracy, but their property was rented out as a safe house for drugs. On Saturday, July the 27th, 2019, police observed a VW Golf being driven suspiciously by Bao. After activating their emergency equipment, the officers quickly abandoned the pursuit due to the level of dangerous driving from the car. A short time later, the officers came across it dumped in Miller Road, and after further inspection, they found various drugs, mobile phones and knives. Over time, enough intelligence was submitted to the officers to relevant addresses that were housing large quantities of drugs, cash, and detectives were able to construct a compelling case that could convict the 5 men. All the perpetrators were arrested on Wednesday, February the 12th, 2020, when Harvey and Armstrong were taken into custody initially by police. After being arrested and charged, all 5 men pled guilty and were sentenced to 25 years due to that. Detective Constable Andy Pearson from GMP's Oldham Challenger team said these are significant results as Bal and his accomplices have operated a damaging criminal enterprise in the Greater Manchester area. Bal was driven by his own greed and selfishness to recruit vulnerable people and take advantage of them. He's now behind bars for a long time, and his fellow conspirators have also been jailed. And they reiterate that they would continue to battle drug distribution in the Greater Manchester area. But as they say in most of these cases, a lot of these drug dealers themselves are drug addicts, and they work for somebody higher up in the rank, and most of the time they're not offered any drug rehabilitation as opposed to time in prison. So I really appreciate you joining me for this episode. Please leave your comments below. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. And don't forget to follow us on social media as well at Scarcity Studios. Peace.